Somebody creative visionary. I'm on time. I'm on time. I'm on time. I'm on time. I love being on time. It's an African thing. It's it's growing up in Africa where chitty chat time. It's growing up in Africa. Oh my goodness, yo. I need to turn on the heat. Hold on, please, 2 seconds. I ask for your understanding. Thank you for giving it to me. Yo, Marcos. Yes. Okay, there we go. Yeah, so I was sharing with you that it's an African thing. In Africa, we don't wear watches, you know. Well, back in the days, we never used to wear watches. We just wake up and look at the sun. Oh, it's 9 o'clock. Oh, it's 12 o'clock out there. Because we just wake up, look at the sun. So this thing of watches, it's a white man's concept. I'm just joking. You know I love white people. I love all people. So, I think being raised to go to British private schools instilled the respect for time. Africans have a thing with time. They can be at church for 8 hours. I'm like, why? I don't understand. What are you doing? Please work with me here. They can be in churches for 6 hours, 8 hours. I'm like, no, time is valuable. Time is so valuable. What are we doing here? And if you ever get a chance to visit Africa, do it. You could, when somebody say it, but even in China, I noticed that when I was in China, when you would say to someone, let's meet at 2 o'clock or 11 o'clock for lunch, because 11 o'clock is lunchtime. Anticipate that the person might arrive at 11:15, 11:30 sometimes. Japanese people are sticklers for time. Like 5 minutes late is unacceptable. 5 minutes late is unacceptable. It gives me anxiety when I'm late. Honestly, I literally have anxiety in my body. Programming. Because I used to be late a lot. My dad just time. I don't know why this thing is not working. It's really irritating me. My dad used to be late a lot. I don't know why. I think it's because of traffic. We lived in Soweto. It was very far from the private schools, you know, in the burbs. So, and my dad had a thing of waking up at 3 o'clock in the morning and thinking. And then he would take a nap like between 5:30 till 6:30, and then we would be late for school. It was a thing. So I have a thing with time. So let's make sure that we bring it together. What are we doing today? Good morning. Igama lam uThembelihle, intombi yakaButhelezi. Welcome to the Themba Temple, activating hope in our body temple. Yesterday I had a conversation about parents. And I was like, these people are not your parents. If that conversation was like, and it went over your head, don't worry. The reason sometimes I plant these nuggets, these seeds in your beingness, is that it might be, you know, some of these concepts took a long time. I noticed that, yeah, my dad is not really my dad. He was my son in a previous lifetime. Yeah, my son in a previous lifetime. And my dad and I come from the same soul family. same soul family, but in a previous lifetime he was my son. So I was kind of finishing off some business. So not my dad. Soul family member. That's why I named these live streams. I guess it's a podcast, but I don't know if you can. Oh, yeah. That's why I named these live streams. I'm not really sure why I cannot see. This is making me mad. Okay. That's why I named my podcast Itemba Temple, because my dad and I come from the same soul family. Yeah. Hopefully you can hear me. I'm not really sure what's going on. Oh, mixer. Sorry, 2 seconds. Okay, that's so much better, I think. So, I figured out how to use the vertical stream thing. I'm just like, I'm so happy. So happy. So hopefully on Instagram it'll be vertical now. This is so bizarre. Oh, sorry, 2 seconds. Okay, hopefully it's working. Hopefully it's working. I test these things and then sometimes it's like, what the frick? So I think we start with breathing today. How about that? Yeah, let's start with breathing. 9 breaths in, hold for 9, breathe out for 9. Okay? We know how this works. And if this is your first time watching these live streams and you're here for the first time and you're like, what are they doing? We are tapping into the infinite abundance of life, the infinite potentiality, and we're tapping into that potentiality of abundance. So in the field. So let's start. Please take a deep breath in through the nose. Drop the shoulders. Good. And then close your eyes, please. And make sure that as you close your eyes, you lift your eyes to focus on your third eye. Okay. So let's start taking a deep breath in through the nose. I am, as you're taking in the deep breath in through the nose for 9 counts. I am. Oh, it's loud. It's so loud. It's screeching. I am. I am. I am. I am. I am. I am. Hold for 9. Abundance, 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 abundance. Breathe out for 9. This is the truth of your being. You are the abundance of everything. Please make sure that you keep your eyes closed. I have to keep my eyes open so I can make sure that this is not hurting your ears. Okay, let's go again. I am the abundance. I am. I am. I am. I am. Good. Now let's hold for 9. Abundance of everything. Abundance, 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 abundance. So let's release for 9. Of everything. Of everything. Of everything. Of everything. Good. Let's repeat one more time. I am the abundance. I am. I am. I am. I am. Good. Now please hold for 9. The abundance, the abundance, the abundance, the abundance, the abundance, the abundance. Good. Release with a big sigh of everything. Of everything, of everything, of everything, of everything, of everything. Good. Look at you. Look at you. Taking a deep breath in through the nose again. Out through the mouth and gently open your eyes. Yes. Yes. There we go. If you're watching, please tell me with the dee thing there. Can you hear it? Can you hear is my sound okay? Okay. I think that's fine. I don't know. I updated OBS and you know these things of the interwebs. I'm starting to show my age, but I love being 44. I love it. I love it. Okay, shall we read? Let's not rush that. We just had excuse me. We just had such a yeah, let's be in the present moment of that. I am the abundance of everything. I am the abundance of everything. You are the abundance of everything. Let's not rush that moment. That was a truthful moment. Yeah, that was a truthful moment. Truthful moment. Let's not rush it. We've got time. Because we are the abundance of everything. Time itself bends itself. Yes. Okay, good. Chapter 11. The secret affairs that are fragmenting your soul. Day 71. Financial life. The betrayal of financial integrity. I have not committed adultery. This is Ma'at's law. David stares at the credit card statement, his stomach churning with familiar shame. Another $3,000 charge to client entertainment that was actually his gambling addiction. His wife, Jennifer, believes they're finally getting ahead financially, trusting his reports of increased revenue while he systematically betrays their shared financial covenant. Each fabricated expense report deepens the adultery of his relationship with money and truth. The violation isn't just about money. It's about the sacred trust that financial partnership requires. David's nervous system has learned to compartmentalize, creating separate realities where his financial deception feels justified by his fear of disappointing Jennifer. His body holds the tension of living a double life, shoulders perpetually tight from carrying secrets that violate the very foundation of the innate bond. Financial adultery occurs when we betray the sacred trust of shared resources, whether through secret spending, hidden debts, or dishonest financial reporting. Our nervous system creates elaborate justifications for financial infidelity, convincing us that protection through deception is more loving than transparency through truth. Embodiment practice. Place one hand on your heart and one on your solar plex. Breathe into the space between them, between the heart and the solar plex, and ask, where do I betray financial trust with myself or others? Feel any tension or constriction and say to yourself, I choose financial integrity as an act of love and respect for the sacred covenant of shared resources. You know, money and body, money and body, money and body, these ones hit home. You know, last week we were talking about the body a lot, and I was sharing with you about the relationship with the body shame. And I said, you know, when it comes to our bodies, where did we learn the shame? But it's right there, it's sitting. And the money one, I shall say, okay. Let's read again. David stares at his business credit card statement, his stomach churning with familiar shame. We believe that men don't have shame. No, men carry a lot of shame. A lot of shame. A lot of shame. Yeah. You can see a man who carries shame. They walk around with this heaviness. I'm always conscious of it with my husband, and I'm like, there's nothing to be ashamed of. There is absolutely nothing to be ashamed. Shame, I don't know about shame. I think maybe because I grew up Zulu, and inherently I think I had a lot of lifetimes as a Zulu woman. And in previous lifetimes as a Zulu woman, I used to walk around topless, you know. So for me, I'm like, I don't understand where this body shame came from. I love being naked, and body shame has just never been my thing. So I think I have that of a competitive advantage because many lifetimes of being a Zulu woman and choosing to come through the Zulu lineage and walking around topless, it's just body shame. It's just never been my thing. But I've experienced some moments in my life where shame was a thing. And in America, the most, actually, in South Africa, churches were my shame spot. In America, it was money and success. Actually, it's just success was like shame that invoked some shame until I sat down with it. Until I sat down with it, I don't know, maybe it was like second or third year in America. No, second year in America. I was at the flea market and I was taking classes and I saw this girl who had a Louis Vuitton bag. It was those Louis Vuitton bags with all of the colors, you know, like it was white canvas and it had like the emblem of Louis Vuitton with different colors, long time ago, like 20 years ago. Yeah, 20 years ago. And it was a very fashionable bag. And I was like, oh my God, how does she afford this bag? This bag was like already like $3,000. And I was like, wow, I guess I haven't made it in America. Okay, it's only my second year in America. I'm still taking classes. I'm taking so many classes. I'm sending money back home to Africa. I'm trying to save up money to buy a home. And I have my own bills and I'm paying international student rates in university. And I'm looking at this girl who has a Louis Vuitton handbag and coming to school with a Louis Vuitton handbag, and she had a Porsche. And I thought to myself, how does she afford all of this stuff? And there was this level of shame that arose in me, okay? I think it was 3 months later, I was at the flea market. I saw her buying these bags at the flea market. I said, oh my God. Instead of waking up and asking her and saying, how do you afford this stuff? I didn't ask her this question. It wasn't jealousy. It was shame of not being successful. Not being successful in America. I was saying, okay. And 3 months later, I was at the flea market and I saw her at the flea market buying these bags. I was like, oh, okay. So this is where they buy the bags from. That released the shame. It kind of like, the shame kind of like, because I was like, oh, I don't really know where people get their money from. It turns out it was her mother's car. Yeah, so that kind of released my shame. But men experience a lot of shame, and as women, we believe at times that we are the only ones that experience shame. No, men experience a lot of shame. It just shows up differently. It shows up differently in how they walk. It shows up differently in how they engage. A lot of men will usually numb out if they feel financially financially behind. They'll numb out or they'll start drinking, and this is when we have the wars in our relationship. They will start gambling like David. Another $3,000 charged to client entertainment. That was actually his gambling addiction. His wife Jennifer believes they're finally getting ahead, trusting his reports of increased revenue while he systematically betrays their shared financial covenant. Every man wants to feel like they're a great provider, protector, and penetrator. This is the nature of men. Oh, you're so vulgar. I worked on Wall Street. This is what they say. But it's true. Every man wants to feel like they're the best in bed. It's first chakra. Okay? They are the best in bed, they are the best providers, and they are the best protectors. But honestly, truthfully, it's a societal programming. Okay, yes, divinity God, this thing called life, has created men's bodies to be able to provide you with sperm as a woman, has made men's bodies a lot stronger than us females, a lot tougher, bigger built. And for the longest time, patriarchy has conditioned us that the men are the providers and we sit at home and nurture the children. Okay? This is a programming, and we've all kind of fallen in line with this programming. This has been the truth for thousands of years. Thousands of years. So when a man does not live up to that societal programming, genetic DNA programming, he absolutely feels like a waste of human life. This is when they start the gamblings. I used to see them a lot in Vegas. They would just be sitting there, poker tables. But honestly, you can't knock it, because that man is probably just trying to feed his family. But the likelihood of actually being successful is 0 to none. Maybe he'll be successful for a little while, but I don't really believe that you can win at the house. The house always wins. I lived in Vegas. I understand this stuff of casinos, and house always wins. This is why places like Vegas, places like Macau, places like Atlantic City are what they are. They innately understand human consciousness. When I was working in Vegas, the men were usually at the high roller tables. The men were usually at the poker tables. The men were usually at roulette tables, craps tables. That's where the men were hanging out. The women were at the slot machines. The women were at the slot machines. Because casinos inherently understand that men need this to live up to this DNA programming, innate self-programming of being the greatest provider, the greatest protector, and the greatest penetrator. I dated a guy. I was with a guy. Let me tell you my stories. Okay. This guy, it was a really great relationship, but he loved to gamble a lot. He loved to gamble. He used to play roulette, and he used to win a lot. But when he lost money, oh God, it was bad news. He was a recovering alcoholic. So when he would lose money at the casino, he would lock himself up in our spare bedroom and cry for 2 weeks and drink vodka. I have lived, okay? I have lived. The things I write about here in these books, my frequency, I have a story that I have lived personally. We lived such an incredible life. Such an incredible life. But he was high up in the mafia. High up in the mafia. And you couldn't tell that he was in the mafia, because he had restaurants and all sorts of good job. He had a good job, but it was a cover for the mafia. I didn't know. I didn't know until I found out before I broke up with him. I was like, what the frick is going on here? Fake name, fake passports. He was British. I said, yo, white people. We had a ritual every Sunday. We used to go to the Godfather, and he kissed the Godfather's ring after Catholic church. Okay? After we come back from Catholic church, we would go to the Godfather for lunch, and he would have to kiss the ring of the Godfather. I said, what the hell? I never even saw my dad kiss anybody's ring. What is this white man doing, kissing somebody's ring? We had an incredible life. It looked normal. It was a normal life. He woke up every morning, went to work. But it was... And I was a stay-at-home wife. And yeah, I used to just go to the mall, go to spas, go to his restaurant, have beautiful dinners and beautiful lunches, go shopping. And then I got tired of this. And then I had to find a job. And then I started working in tech. Because I was like, I just can't sit at home the whole day long. And then that's when I had my light bulb moment. One day I was cleaning and packing the closet. And I was like, where are these passports? Who are you? I'm sorry. What is going on here? But he loved gambling. He loved gambling. Anytime he would lose money, anytime he would make money, I would get something new, a new piece of jewelry. I would get clothes. It was an incredible time. Anytime he lost money, a lot of money, lock himself up in our spare bedroom and drink his vodkas and drink his vodkas and drink. I said, but now what? And he would cry and cry and cry because he had unprocessed trauma from England. Now he's living in South Africa with all of this unprocessed trauma. And he likes to gamble a little bit. And the only person who could get him out of that was the Godfather. Because I would be so confused. I'm like, my dad never used to drink and gamble. I don't understand what to do with a white man who's drinking and gambling. What must I do with this? I've lived. Okay? I've lived. So each fabricated expense report deepens the adultery of his relationship with money and truth. You know, after a few times of this, I said, I better damn get a job because this man is unstable. I mean, I'm living a really great life, but I don't know. My dad never was a gambler. So I think I better get a job. I found a job at a tech firm and I was working on facial biometrics and fingerprinting biometrics, and I used to sell that to the governments in South Africa. I've worked everything. Like this AI thing is not new to me. I was working on AI things 25 years ago. Fingerprinting, biometrics, selling it to the South African government. The violation isn't just the money. It's about sacred trust that financial partnership requires. David's nervous system has learned to compartmentalize, creating separate realities where his financial deception feels justified by his fear of disappointing Jennifer. Right, because David inherently wants to provide, protect, and be a good father, maybe a good lover and a good husband. This is why I say to women, let Shiva be your lover. Let Yeshua be your brother who is going to teach you how to stand for yourself, no matter what. Yes, because we can't only rely on our lovers or our husbands or our boo things or our bae things. I learned this at 21. I said 21. I was 19 when I was dating this guy. I learned this at a young age. I did. And that's why I've always developed my skills. That's why I've always inherently understood that no matter what happens, I can always come back. Why? Because I have skills. I have wisdom. I have innate skills. And the experiences that I've had throughout life are what helps people be able to get out of their own problems. Just sharing the story of like, literally, we used to go to casinos and we would dress up it would be an incredible Saturday night or Sunday night. Let him lose money. Monday, he's not going to work. It's just bottles of vodka. And crying, sometimes 2 weeks, locked himself up, just crying, drinking. I'm like, I don't understand. I never grew up with a mother or a father who had to deal with this. What do I do with this white man? He's British. I didn't know how to get a hold of his friends in England, his brother. He had a brother. His brother was living in America. I'm like, I don't understand how to get a hold of this man's people. Well, the only person I know how to get a hold of is the Godfather. This because he said, oh, this is my father. So, okay. Turns out he was like second in charge. But he had a gambling problem and a drinking problem, and then he would get sober. And then when he gets sober, then everything would be okay. Oh my God. So I learned that it's probably best I just go get a job. His body holds tension of living a double life, shoulders perpetually tight by carrying secrets that violate the very foundation of the intimate bond. If your boo thing is holding secrets, your husband, your lover is holding men and money, it is a thing. You know, as women, we can cry and be like, oh, I just need to get a job. But men and money, it's a very heavy relationship. It's a very sensitive relationship. Because you're touching at the root chakra. And that is for us, our root chakra brings life. For men, it gives life. But we bring the life. So you're touching at a very, very sensitive topic. And I'm not really sure who told men that we cannot have these kinds of conversations. And but because they don't even talk to their friends about these sorts of things, because they're competing with these friends about these things, like, yo bro, I got more money than you. And sometimes as women, we don't want to talk about these things because then we don't want to embarrass our spouses or our husbands or our boo things. No, you gotta have these conversations. I have honest conversations with my husband about money, because after that relationship, I say, oh my God, oh my goodness, oh my God. Oh my goodness. I just had my own bank account after that. I separated everything for myself, and I realized that this man was in a deep cycle of addiction. If it wasn't the alcohol, it was the gambling and the lies. And the lies. I couldn't do it. I gave him back his ring. I said, I'm sorry. It was a big ass ring too. I said, I'm so sorry, but like, here's your ring. I can't do this. I never grew up in a family with gamblers. My dad never gambled. My dad never dragged himself into oblivion, locked himself up in a room and cried. So I'm sorry, but I don't know how to deal with this. I'm so sorry. I don't see myself being married to you for another 50 years with this gambling addiction and this drinking addiction. I don't see this for myself. I'm sorry. Here's your ring back, please. I'm so sorry. I gotta go. Turns out that I then land in Vegas, where I am now surrounded by so many men and women who are just sitting at the slots machine, smoking a cigarette with an oxygen tank. I'm like, this is so bizarre. So we've got to look at the energy underneath addiction. Yes, we can say it's money problems. But no, that is the first layer. The truth of the energy underneath this addiction of gambling is poverty consciousness, lack consciousness. And the medicine for lack consciousness is, I am the abundance of everything. Because this is the truth. There is more than enough oxygen on planet Earth. And when oxygen goes to the brain, and then you move, awareness, different ideas come about. Your brain gets access to different ideas because there's oxygen going to the brain. And so the brain now has a wider awareness besides the pain that you were living through, and the solution being shortcut, gamble, or crypto, or stock market, or some kind of quick fix, because quick fixes don't inherently fix the trauma, number one, the nervous system, how the nervous system responded to the trauma. So this guy grew up in a very, very toxic home, very abusive father, and father was an alcoholic, mother was also an alcoholic, a lot of trauma from England, and then had a lot of drinking problems because he grew up in a family with addiction, and then moved to South Africa and tried to start a new life. But he would be okay, and then he would fall off, okay, and then fall off, okay, and then fall off. And how he ended up in these mafia business things was because he was in rehab and somebody helped him in rehab, but that's how he sold his soul. That's how they got him for life. So you don't know how, when you don't work on your addictions, you don't work on your traumas, how the decisions that are based on trauma can land you in a predicament where your whole life is now controlled by an organization or controlled by your secrets. I said, oh, no, I'm so sorry. I love you with your beautiful blonde hair and your beautiful blue eyes, but this is too much for me. I'm so sorry. It's too much for me with your beautiful abs. I am so sorry, but it is too much for me. I'm sorry. Here's your ring back. Thank you. Go back. I got to go. I can't. But we don't have these conversations. Nor do they have these conversations in America. Nor do they have these conversations in Macau. It's not sexy to have these kinds of conversations. What, you want to have a conversation about trauma? How I grew up in my childhood? And why now I spend my time online betting? What? No. I just got to pay my bills. AI is taking my job. So now I got to pay my bills. What do you expect me to do? I'm just going to gamble a bit. No. Where is that going to get you? That is a finite perspective of, oh, I've just lost my job, so now I'm going to be a professional gambler. Okay. Are there any other options? In a field of, a quantum field of possibility, this is the only possibility you choose. Why this? Is it because you don't know that there is quantum field of possibilities that you could choose from? Is it laziness? Is it fear that is pushing you in a direction that might be your end? Because you don't know what decisions you're going to make. I'm sharing with you authentically. I'm telling you the truths because I've lived these truths. It's not just a story. It was my life. I lived an incredible life. Beautiful jewelry and like holidays, and it was a normal life. You woke up every morning and went to work, came back 6-7 o'clock at night. Saturdays we used to go to his restaurant. It was a normal life. It looked like a normal life. But no, he had made some choices while he was in rehab. Somebody found him, they helped him, and that was that. He had to go kiss the ring every Sunday. And we had beautiful lunches. Godfather. Oh my God. When I tell you that I have lived, I have lived. Okay? I have lived. I have lived. Financial adultery occurs when we betray the sacred trust of shared resources, whether through secret spending, hidden debts, or dishonest financial reporting. Our nervous system creates elaborate justifications for financial infidelity, convincing us that protection through deception is more loving than transparency through truth. Through truth. You know what? That relationship was one of like the most eye-opening relationships for me around the subject of trauma. But I didn't know what trauma was. There was no, there was kind of verbiage in South Africa because I'd already started going to therapy. And homeboy, we used to go to therapy together. He loved going to therapy. I had never met a man who went to therapy. I was like, this man he was immaculately dressed all the time. Beautiful watches, beautiful suits. He was a beautiful man. Blonde hair, blue eyes. Oh God, he was beautiful. Immaculately dressed all the time. And we used to go to couples therapy together, and he had his own therapy. I think the Godfather was like, you gotta do something with this. But he learned about therapy while he was in rehab. So he continued with his therapy practice. So it's not like he didn't go to therapy. And we had conversations that were really deep and intellectual and very soul stirring and very nourishing. But anytime he would lose money at the casinos, he would just go off the rails. Honestly, that's the first man I ever went to therapy with. That was the first person I ever saw go to therapy besides myself. And that was I'd never gone to couples therapy with anyone, and I'd never seen my family go to couples therapy. Okay, church, I guess my family went to couples therapy at church. But a professional psychologist, I've never seen anybody do this. But we used to go together to therapy. But as soon as he would hit the casinos, off the rails. Off the rails. And I'm like, I would call his therapist. He wouldn't pick up the phone. His therapist would try to call him. He wouldn't pick up the phone. The only person who could talk to him, sense to him, was the Godfather. I have lived. Okay, why was I telling you that? Because that was for me the initiation into understanding trauma at a really deep level. Not just, I was raised in apartheid, black people suffered in South Africa. No, seeing a white person go to trauma was like, and seeing a non-South African white person go to trauma therapy was just like, so this trauma thing is a worldwide thing. It's a worldwide phenomena. It's a worldwide phenomenon. And when I got to America and I said, it's huge. It's huge. It's huge. Okay. So embodiment practice. Place one hand on your heart and another on your solar plex. Why one hand on your heart and one hand on your solar plex? Because on the heart is the seat of love. You know, when we say I love someone, we always kind of place our hand on our heart. It's the seat of love. And in the field of quantum possibilities, love lives there. So when we tap into that field of love, the possibility of love, number one, love for thyself, right? We're not loving anybody without loving ourselves. But love for myself. Because a lot of us have lived through insane amounts of wounding, and humanity is just traumatized from many thousands of years of these traumas. Okay? So this is why you can't really judge people. I judge people when I've shared this stuff with you and truly you still don't want to heal and you still don't want to go to therapy. Then I'm just like, out. But honestly, there's nothing wrong with these things. Of going to therapy and really saying, yes, I'm traumatized. Yes, I come from a lineage of trauma. There's nothing wrong with saying that. There's no shame in this. There's no shame in saying, you know what, I'm not right in the head. I need some help here. There's no shame in saying, I gotta take some pills for depression. There's no shame in this. Who said there's shame in this? Whoever made this shameful? You would rather commit suicide instead of saying, you know what, I just need to go get some psychiatric help? Why would you do this to yourself? Your life is valuable. Your life is important. You are not your ancestral pain. You are not your parents' addictions. You are more than this. But you've got to understand that love for self, just because mommy never loved you and daddy never loved you, it doesn't mean now you've got to abandon yourself and not love yourself. They didn't know how. They were dealing with their own traumas too. This is why I say we cannot keep blaming our parents. There comes a time when we have to take responsibility. Okay, my parents never loved me. My family never loved me. Okay, got it. What am I going to do about this? And am I going to keep living my life with mommy never loved me, daddy never loved me, and not healing? No, if we don't heal, we're susceptible to being manipulated. If we don't heal, we're susceptible to a lot more bad choices in our life. Bad choices. Trauma-based choices that are not good for us. But then when you just say, you know what, I'm going to work on this stuff. Daddy never loved me, mommy never loved me. I'm going to take responsibility. I am going to be a sovereign being and I'm going to take responsibility for this. I'm going to work on this. Okay. First, I'm going to love myself. I'm going to love myself. So as David would put his hand on his heart, it connects him to the potentiality of love which exists in the field. It's in the quantum field. It is a quality of God consciousness. Love is a quality of God consciousness. He would connect himself to that quality of God consciousness. Okay, let's finish and then I'll tell you something. As he connects himself to that quality of God consciousness that lives, exists in the field, he would then ask himself, if I truly loved myself, and this idea called life, this idea called God, this idea called the universe, source, loved itself so much that it created me, and now I choose from that truth, that wisdom, I'm going to love myself now. Okay? If I love myself, hand on solar plex, would I go out to the casinos to go gamble, knowing that truly I don't have this, I can't afford to lose this money? Would I turn on sports betting? Would I turn on online gambling on my phone or, on my computer? Would I do that to myself if I truly loved myself? Because I know that the consequences of that, if I lose money, the consequences of that is I might lose Jennifer as my beautiful wife. I might lose my job for telling lies on my credit card statement. I might lose everything because these bad choices will just keep mounting. In the end, I'm destroying myself. If I truly loved myself, would I do this to myself? When you completely disconnected from yourself, which a lot of men are very disconnected from their bodies, and I think it's on purpose, right? So if you're disconnected from your body, you can't even, putting your hands on your heart is like, okay, that's such a girly thing. That's such a girly thing. No, it's not. You are actually having a conversation with the truth of your being. You are created from love. You are not your mother and your father's product. You come from life, from the love of the universe. You didn't just land here on planet Earth by mistake. No, you are here as a soul with the body. So as you touch your heart, it connects you to your soul. Your soul is in concert with God consciousness. Your soul is in concert with the universal plan for life and life more abundantly. Life and life more abundantly. So as you touch your heart, you connect with your soul, your higher self, the truth of life, life more abundantly. So now you can ask yourself, okay, I come from this abundance of life. We cannot count the stars, we cannot count the galaxies, we're finding more and more planets. Truth is, there is abundance, okay? So if this is the truth of my being, and I come from this level of love and abundance in the field of infinite potentiality, when I choose this, to make this choice, solar plex, and open up my computer and start gambling, open up my computer and start sports betting, go drive myself to the casino, am I choosing the highest choice? Because honestly, maybe I don't really have the money to gamble. And if I lose this money, it's going to be a shit shy. Shit shy. But most of us don't sit long enough and ask these sorts of questions. We just are flooded by fear, flooded by anxiety, flooded by this idea of I'm not good enough, oh my God, and the shame, okay? Now the shame, because it also lives in the body. The fear, it lives in the body, it floods your body temple. It will make you move. You will move your fingers, type. You will move your feet and get into your car and drive to the casino. So it's all in the body. This is why I tell you, it's a revolutionary experience. Temple. All the magic is in the body. Because honestly, you will move your fingers and start typing there. And get online and start gambling. You will move your feet and walk out the door and get into your car and go straight to the casino. It's all in the body. So how about before you open up that casino app or that gambling app, you put your hands on your heart first and you say, let me sit with myself here. One hand on the solar plex and say, oh, really, is this the only choice? When you're flooded by fear, flooded by shame, flooded by anxiety, it looks like the only choice, but truthfully, it's not the only choice available to you at that moment. And as a woman, you sometimes can't really have a conversation with your husband about this. They'll tell you, this yoga thing of yours, this yoga thing of yours, this like inner work thing of yours. But listen, if your spouse sees you as a woman sitting there with yourself, breathing, they're more likely to, okay, hey, these things are hers. 2 years, maybe 1 year, maybe 6 months, maybe invite them to sit with you. My husband now does hand on heart work. Okay, it's 23 years. He started doing it maybe like 10 years ago. Because he saw that I was just consistent with it. Consistent. I never stopped with my hand on heart, sitting there in my meditation. I never stopped. I invited him to all of these things. Sometimes he wouldn't go. He's like, I don't want to do your female things, your hippie yoga things. It's not for me. Now, 10 years ago he started. I think it's 13 years ago. He started these things. So as women also, we have the responsibility to be the teachers, not by telling them, you got to do this, you got to come with me to yoga. I tried that, it doesn't really work. They're going to look at you and start laughing or just walk out the door. But if you become consistent in your practice as a woman, you model for your spouse what it is. And if it starts like changing your mood, or maybe you have a fight and then all of a sudden you're going to go sit down and meditate, and after that meditation experience, now all of a sudden you're not so angry anymore, eventually they're going to like, okay, I get it, this thing of his works, and they'll join you. I really think now teaching is not about telling people authority, preaching to people, commanding. My husband taught me really well. He just would look at me and do the exact opposite. So I decided very long time ago, I'm just going to continue with my thing. If he wants to join, he can join. If he doesn't want to join, he doesn't want to join. Eventually they join, because as women, we are the teachers inherently, because these men come out of our womb. Yes, they come out of our womb. We birthed them. And the mother was always the one teaching them anyway. So as the woman, you have a lot of power. But as a wife or a girlfriend or a boothing or bathing, I don't know what these terms are, these new terms that these young ones are using. But you're not going to tell your spouse what to do. You're not. It's not going to work. But if you just stay in your practice, no matter what, stay in your practice. Eventually they learn, especially men, they will learn, or they will leave. I had to leave. I was like, no, I didn't grow up. I grew up with an uncle who was in the mafia. He was the head of the mafia, like big dog in the mafia. And he had gone to prison. I loved my uncle a lot. He was my second father figure, and he taught me a lot about being street smart, like true street smart, because he raised me for the first 4 years of my life. He taught me a lot about being street smart. I didn't realize that later I would then date a man who was second in command of a huge mafia in South Africa. But there you go. Why was I sharing that with you? Because I had to leave. I just realized that even with therapy, his trauma was just too much. But also, I wasn't meditating a lot and doing all of these things. I used to just go to yoga classes and stuff. I was still young in this practice of trauma and nervous system regulation and all this stuff. But we are the teachers as women. Just continue with your practice. They'll join or they'll leave, or you will leave. There's a lot of shame around money, body, success, especially in America. But also in South Africa, it's a thing now. Shame. It's the shame that is going to destroy you. It's the fear of losing jobs to AI. It's the fear of losing... it's the fear of loss that's going to spiral you out. So before you make a decision in a sea of infinite choices, or perceived limited choices, take 5 minutes, hand on heart. I am the abundance of everything. It won't take you long, right? Then you can ask yourself a question. Breathe into the space between them and ask, where do I betray financial trust with myself or others? Okay, this is like a high level question, but you could just start with the mantra. Oh, I am the abundance of everything. Okay, you can just start there, because this, okay, where do I betray financial trust with myself or others, means that you actually are willing to tell the truth. Most of the time we're not willing to tell the truth. So just start with, I am the abundance of everything. And as you continue saying that, it will eventually get you to the place where you say, where do I betray financial trust with myself or others? Because when you start asking these sorts of questions, the truth will arise. It truly will arise in you. Oh, I used to see my dad do this. I used to see my mother hide money a little bit or lie about money. I used to see my father do this. I used to watch my aunties do it. Oh, it's childhood programming. But that might take some time. Okay. And if you've got the book, which you should, please buy the book. You should. I invite you to buy the book. Link below. Okay, if you have the book, you can come back and look at it again and say, I choose financial integrity as an act of love. I love myself enough that no, I will not harm myself and those I love. I won't do this. And self-respect, I love myself and respect myself enough to not harm myself because I'm flooded by fear and shame because I cannot provide as a man right now. No, I won't do this. I will sit in my meditation, even if it's just 10 minutes, and say, I am capable of making impeccable decisions. I need to see the choices. Brain, heart, if you refer to God, the universe, show me the choices. Show me. Let me see the choices so that I can make an informed, impeccable decision in a sea of choices. Because honestly, when you're flooded by shame and fear and anxiety, you don't see any choices. All you see is like, oh my God, problems. You don't see any choices. You don't. And then say to yourself, I choose financial integrity as an act of love and self-respect for the sacred covenant of shared resources. There's nothing wrong with all of this stuff. There's nothing wrong with the financial shame, money shame. There's nothing wrong with this. Stop shaming yourself. Honestly, just stop shaming yourself. Honestly, stop shaming yourself. Stop hiding. And stop shaming yourself. Because if you stop shaming yourself, then you can actually get help. Then you can actually change it. But if you keep shaming yourself, you spiral and 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 spiral. Just stop shaming yourself. Just sit in it and say, okay, here we are. How do I come out of this? But I found that a lot of men, I've seen through my own experience of living in Vegas and being around this gambling lifestyle, there's a lot of shame around it. And honestly, we can't keep blaming the government. The government is not our parent. When you heal your daddy never loved me wounds and your mother never loved me wounds, you start realizing, I gotta take responsibility for my own life. I gotta take responsibility for my own life. You can't, like, seriously, how is the government supposed to control all of the gambling around the world? How is the government your mother or your father? It makes no sense. But of course, I forgot. 2 to 5 year old on planet Earth, that is the consciousness. It makes no sense. Because, you know what, when a person wants to gamble, they will gamble. They will just put VPN and then log into Macau, all the way from Idaho. They will just put a VPN and log in all the way to Macau, or log in all the way to Korea and start with the gambling there. So how is the government going to stop you from gambling from all the way from South Africa gambling into Macau? How is the government going to stop you there? Now you want to get Interpol involved? Now world governments must now police your inability to look at your own nervous system? Huh? I'm sorry, this is your shame. It lives in your body. Your fear, it lives in your body. Why now must the government come and police you? It makes no sense. The nature of you. Oh my God, the nature of your mind. God. Yes, I agree. There should be some guardrails. And I think that's what I loved living in Vegas. There were rules and regulations and laws that protected people. Okay, but still, it's your choice. If you want to go to the casino, it's your choice. You get into your own car and you go to the casino. The nature of human, it's so funny. It's your choice. You made the choice based on what? Your shame that lives where? In your body. You made the choice based on what? Your anxiety and your fear that lives where? In your body. Right? And when we start becoming when we start taking this level of self-responsibility, we grow up, we start maturing. I am the one that is going to open up my phone and download the app for gambling. Right? I'm going to do this. Right? I am the one that's going to log on to online and start poker playing, video game playing, whatever I'm going to do, and put my credit card there. So what happened? Where's the government here? Why are we parentifying the government? But then when the government imposes laws, no, the government should not be in my business. They should not be in my business. What are they doing in my business? So what do you want? You want the government to only protect you when you want to harm yourself? What do you want? This is why I keep saying 2 to 5 year old children having children on planet Earth. Because when you don't want to be policed, when you don't want the government to put laws, no, get out of my life. Stop policing me. Stop making laws that, restrict my freedom. Oh, but when you are gambling and doing all sorts of things that are harming you, you want the government to be involved. It makes no sense. The nature of human. You gotta laugh at yourself, okay? When you laugh at yourself and you laugh at the conversations that are going on in your this is true awakening. Yes. When you're still angry at yourself and you're shaming yourself and you're you're embarrassed about your behaviors, you're not growing. You're not. But when you can laugh at yourself and say, yeah, but this is truth, I don't want the government involved in my taxes, I don't want the government involved in this and this and this and this. Yet no, they should put guardrails. They should put guardrails around this online gambling. How is it the government's fault? Who told you to go to these online gambling sites? You did it, right? You put the credit card in there, right? Right. So why is now the government supposed to be involved in this? So now they must be involved in every part of your life. Do you want a Neuralink? Do you want the government to now start getting involved in your nervous system? Because that's what you truly are asking. Come, be involved in my nervous system. No, your nervous system healing and regulation is your responsibility, my love. It is your responsibility. But we've never been told this, right? So you can't blame yourself, but you have to take responsibility. Yes. Yes, if we don't want these governments to be authoritarian, that means we need to grow up. Yeah, it means we need to grow up. We can keep fighting these governments. They're authoritarian because we are 2 to 5 years old. When you grow up and truly mature, it means you've got to do some serious. Then no government can control you. Nobody can control you at that point. Then you don't need to scream about authoritarian governments because honestly, they really have no power over you. We give them power over us. Because when we're doing things of gambling, when we're doing things of cryptocurrency scams, and no, the government should be involved. No. They should be involved. But no, it's your nervous system. Okay, so let's do, how is that? Truth, no? Yeah, truth. So let's breathe into that truth. Because it's difficult to look at it from this perspective. These things. Nature of human. Let's do some forgiveness work. I think let's do some forgiveness work, because underneath shame is self-blame. Shame creates self-blame. And the medicine for that is truly self-forgiveness. You don't know what you don't know until you're deep in it. You're real deep in it, and you're like, oh. Oh, you don't know what you don't know. Even if somebody tells you, sometimes you gotta go live the hell so that you can finally figure it out. You gotta go live that hell. And I think if we can focus on self-forgiveness, it'll be really helpful, because we can focus on abundance and seek more and more abundance. But honestly, if we don't collapse the energy, we can have a lot more abundance, but we inherently hold a lot of shame, and this abundance is trying to mask the shame. That's why we seek abundance. But abundance is, you are already abundance. So we can forgive ourselves for not seeing, not having an awareness of more choices, and just going for the first, making a decision with just limited choices, when in truth there are infinite possibilities. And this doesn't only apply to gambling. This also applies to any other choice that you've made financially, because we've all made some messed up financial choices. We cannot blame the casinos. Honestly, truly, we cannot blame the casinos. They just provide a service. You take yourself there. We are awakening to spiritual maturity. This place is spiritual maturity. Okay. So let's take a deep breath in through the nose. Out through the mouth, dropping the shoulders, closing the eyes, lifting the eyes up to the third eye, center of your forehead. In through the nose. Releasing with a big sigh. So let's put one hand on the heart, one hand on the solar plex. And just breathe into that. Just take a deep breath in and feel the breath come through your nostrils, coming through to your heart and your solar plex. Releasing. Feel that oxygen through your nostrils, your heart, and your solar plex. You are here in this moment, whether you like it or not. In this time in human history, you have chosen to be here, to evolve, to grow up. You have chosen to come here in this time in human history to evolve, to grow up. And part of growth is acknowledging, I've made some poor choices. I've made some trauma-based choices and I did not even know what I was doing. It's okay. It's okay, but it is also your responsibility to evolve beyond this. It is your responsibility to face the truths within you, to face the consequences of your decisions. We can have the excuses, oh, I had limited choices, I didn't know. But no, being a grown-up is like, okay, I'm here, okay? I kind of messed up real big. But it is my responsibility to face my choices and the consequences of my choices. But before I do that, I forgive myself. Please continue taking a deep breath in through the nose and make sure that the eyes are closed. I forgive myself. Please repeat after me. I forgive myself. 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 Oh, I forgive myself. I forgive myself. Notice where there is any resistance. Notice any thoughts that come up. Notice any anger, fear, shame, sensation on your body. Notice it. And with loving compassion, just still be able to sit with yourself and say, you know what, I forgive myself. I forgive myself. When you started a practice of self-forgiveness, there is a lot of judgment that will arise. The judgment is from past programming, what your parents have said, what society has said, what your religious systems, dogmas, spiritual practices have said. All of this will start flooding your prefrontal cortex. And you will feel sensations in your body that say, no, I cannot forgive myself. I just, I messed up. But may I invite you to just sit with those feelings, those thoughts, that narrative that shows up and say, no, I can't, I've messed up real big here. Just sit with it and not run away from it. And breathe through it and just say, I forgive myself. Nobody's going to forgive you. Honestly, nobody's going to forgive you. They're going to judge you. They're going to make sure that you know that you're a failure. So, because here we're all about self-love. Because truth is, the universe loved itself so much it created you. So when no one can give you understanding, forgiveness, a hand, you can do that for yourself and just say, nah, I forgive myself. I made some really messed up choices. I forgive myself. This does not mean that you're not going to go back out gambling or whatever other choice. But, the more you just start with, I just forgive myself. I just forgive myself. I just forgive myself. This is the first sign of self-respect. Never mind self-love, but just self-respect. Self-honor. I forgive myself. Please repeat after me. I forgive myself. I forgive myself. Notice what thought comes up. Notice what sensation you feel in your body as you repeat to yourself, I forgive myself. Just notice what is happening in your body without judgment. Observe. Taking a deep breath in through the nose and out through the mouth. I forgive myself. 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 Please keep your eyes closed. So I'd like to suggest that if you have a challenge with gambling, especially in this time, especially over Christmas, holiday season, you have a challenge with gambling, please reach out to Gamblers Anonymous. I used to go to Alcoholics Anonymous. Full disclosure. And it really was a helpful, loving, open, welcoming place. And I never even thought of myself as an alcoholic. But, you're drinking 2-3 times a week. I mean, maybe there's something wrong there. I don't know. For me, I was like, it's not kind of healthy to be drinking 2-3 times a week. So I started opening myself up to attending Alcoholics Anonymous meetings. It was really helpful to be around other people who were honest enough to say, you know, maybe I drink a lot, 5, 6, 7 times a week. I'm always drunk. And I need help. So if you are struggling with alcohol, you're struggling with shopping, there's Shopaholics Anonymous. If you're struggling with gambling, if you're struggling with porn, there's, I think, Porn Anonymous. If you're struggling with any form of addiction, honestly, online there are groups that follow the 12-step program. Healing from addiction is not just I forgive myself. Yes, that is the beginning of self-respect and self-love, so that you can question why you do what you do. So then you can make a choice to, instead of going to the casino, instead of opening up your sports betting, instead of online shopping, instead of online sexing, online porn, online drinking, you can make a choice to then go to AA meetings, Sexaholics Anonymous, Gamblers Anonymous, Shopaholics Anonymous, Codependents Anonymous, instead of engage in the activity that harms you. And if there are no anonymous meetings, whatever addiction you have anonymous in your area, online, if you Google Shopaholics, I have a shopping addiction, Shopaholics Anonymous. I have sex addiction online. There are anonymous groups that are dedicated to walk you through the 12-step program. But on top of the 12-step program, you've got to work on your nervous system, because that's where the true magic is. I shared authentically with you that I went to Alcoholics Anonymous and I realized, oh, really, I didn't have an alcohol problem, an addiction, but if I hadn't made the choice to go to Alcoholics Anonymous, maybe I would have ended up having an alcohol addiction. So help yourself before it gets too really bad. Help yourself. We are living through unprecedented times in human history. You don't have to do this alone. Connect with others that are going through the same path as you. And there's no shame in this. There's no shame in this. Okay? So let's take a deep breath in through the nose and out through the mouth. Drop the shoulders with a big sigh. Okay, now please open up your eyes. Smile a lot and know that you are the face of love. And you have a right to love yourself, number one. And number two, you have a right to make healthy choices, decisions. Make healthy decisions in a sea of choices. And there are infinite choices. Infinite choices. And you have the right to make healthy decisions in a sea of infinite choices. Yes? So thank you so much for joining me on our conversations. Me love you long time. Me love you long time. Me love you long time. Ngithanda kakhulu isithando sam. I will see you tomorrow 9 a.m. Bye. Don't feel shame. Don't feel shame. Feel your shame, actually. Feel your shame. Don't beat yourself up. That's what I mean. When I say don't feel shame. Feel the shame. Feel it. Just don't beat yourself up. Take inspired action. Join an AA meeting. Join an Alcoholics Anonymous meeting. Join a Shopaholics Gamblers Anonymous meeting. Sit there. Listen to other people's struggles. You're not going through this alone. Other people are living through the same thing. Okay? Okay? Okay?